Detroit, the automotive capital of the world, is home to that third member of the original trinity of General Motors, Cadillac, which was organized in 1902 and became part of the General Motors Group in 1909. Cadillac has many firsts to its credit, notably being the first to introduce the system of limits in motor car manufacturing, leading to the standardization of parts in 1984, for which it was awarded the Sir Thomas Dewar Trophy by the Royal Automobile Club of London. Again in 1913, Cadillac won the same trophy as a result of its pioneering in electric starting, lighting, and ignition, being the first car so equipped. It was the first to manufacture a four-cylinder engine, and the first to manufacture a V8 engine. Cadillac and Lasalle cars were the first cars to have bodies equipped with non-shutter-able glass. In 1927, the Lasalle was introduced and made an unparalleled sales record for a new car in its price and quality class. To say that something was the Cadillac of something meant that there was nothing better, whether it was dog food or the finest vehicles made. Henry Leland represented the relentless pursuit of quality throughout his entire career. He'd been involved with Henry Ford from the founding of the company, and they parted ways because of a fundamental disagreement on how they viewed transportation. And thus, the Cadillac Automobile Company was launched on its career. It was founded on August 22, 1902 by engineer and manufacturer Henry Leland, from the remains of the Henry Ford Company, and named it after the founder of Detroit, Frenchman Lucien Antoine de la Morte Cadillac. Quickly swinging into its tribe, the first product is the famous one-cylinder Model A. Cadillac manufactured over 2,500 Model A's, which was a huge number for the time period. Cadillac would be in the top 10 of automobile sales from 1904 to 1915. In 1905, the name was changed to the Cadillac Motor Car Company, and the first four-cylinder model was introduced. Well, at that point in the motor industry, when you bought an automobile, it was much like buying a strange mechanical device, and that you divorced from the factory and from the engineers. If something broke, you were on your own. You had to figure out a way of fixing it yourself, or fabricating a part. What Leland realized was that if you had standardized parts that were readily available, you would dramatically improve not only the reliability of the vehicle because of the consistent quality of parts, but also open up the opportunity for many more people to buy cars. What Leland did was set up a challenge. He took 3 stock Cadillacs and had them shipped to the UK. They were raced around the track at Brooklands, which at that time was the most famous automotive track in the world. Then each of the 3 Cadillacs was fully disassembled, the parts were thrown into a huge bin, shaken about, and the mechanics were given the mandate to go reassemble the cars. The cars were then raced at the track and it was clear who the winner was. With this, Cadillac won the Dewar Trophy for interchangeability of manufactured parts, making it the first American-made car to receive the Dewar Trophy, which contributed to Cadillac adopting the slogan, "Standard of the World." This was a great period of consolidation in the automotive industry. Billy Durant came up with the notion of buying many car companies and many part suppliers, and bringing them under the umbrella of one Mack automotive manufacturer. And that became General Motors. This young automobile company by the name of General Motors would soon go on in 1909 to purchase the Cadillac Motor Company for $4.5 million. It was one of the first marques that were brought into the fold, with some amazing innovations coming in from Leland and Cadillac. For instance, cranking took more muscle and moxie than most females could muster, until Cadillac, and a man named Kettering, found a way to start a car electrically with the push of a button. This technological achievement awarded Cadillac their second Dewar Trophy, the only automotive company to claim 2 Dewar Awards. By 1915, Cadillac had developed an astonishing reputation in the American automobile industry, and their introduction of the first practical V8 engine was a continuation of the quality expectations that people had for the marque. All Cadillac models were equipped with the first mass-produced V8 water-cooled engine, which contributed heavily to modern-day car manufacturing. The 1915 Cadillac Type 51 7-passenger touring car fitted with a V8 engine was a dependable car, easy to start, and powerful at about 70 horsepower. This car new was about $2,300. Not everybody could afford one of these, but for the money, you couldn't buy a better car. During World War I, over 2,000 of the cars were shipped overseas to be used as Army staff cars. The engine became the longest-running production V8 in the world, within 3 years of its launch. Nearly 50,000 cars had been produced. Shortly after, in 1917, Leland left General Motors to found Lincoln Motor Company. The 1920s represented a remarkable period of consolidation and change for the American automobile industry. Cadillac suddenly had many competitors, so, by 1927 there was a radical change in Cadillacs in two areas, engineering and style. Harley Earl, a custom coach builder and designer from California, was brought to Cadillac and General Motors to create innovative designs. He formed the art and colored unit of General Motors. This was the first time in American auto manufacturing history that a car would be designed by a designer rather than an engineer. What Earl decided to do was to come out with a companion version of the Cadillac that was smaller, a bit less expensive but in every bit as stylish, and that was the 1927 Lasalle. Earl's design established the standard of Cadillac and made the brand one of quality and luxury. In 1925, Cadillac was the first to use the curb paint and offered its customers over 500 color combinations by 1926. However, Cadillac wasn't content to just rest on its laurels. Beginning in 1926, they commenced work on one of the most ambitious engineering programs in the history of the company, and that was the development of the 16-cylinder engine. This gave birth to the 1931 Cadillac V16. The V16 targeted the elite, the man that had everything. The average man on the street might have a 4-cylinder or a 6-cylinder or even an 8-cylinder, but a 16-cylinder. It was the largest number of cylinders that were available in a production vehicle. So, to have 16 cylinders at your command was a thrill of a lifetime. The paint job was very flamboyant for the day. To be using 3 colors, a beautiful egg cream, a very light cocoa powder brown for the body panels with the dark brown fenders, and the red pinstriping were almost unheard of, especially in an era where most people wanted to be known as conservative. The Cadillac V16 engine was one of the first, if not the first engine that went through the styling department. They wanted to hide all the wiring and the pipes and make it pleasing to the eye, so, aesthetically it was of the best-looking engines of the classic era. The fuel consumption was of no concern, it was poor. The average was approximately 4 miles per gallon. What you have to remember is that fuel was 15 cents a gallon in 1930 and 1931. Really wasn't of much concern to a man that could afford to buy a Cadillac V16. Cadillac also offered over 68 body styles by the mid-1930s, giving their customers even more customized ability to set their cars apart from the rest. 2 of the most infamous Cadillacs during the late 20s and early 30s belonged to A.I. Capone, who had his Cadillacs customized with bulletproof glass and a police siren. Cadillac maintained its emphasis on luxury into the early 40s, as seen in vehicles such as the 1940 Fleetwood featured in The Godfather. By 1941, Cadillac had a record year because they were able to dramatically lower prices. The Lasalle had been dropped and they introduced the 61 series, which was a great starter for people who wanted to enter the world of Cadillac ownership. This would have continued along the same happy lines had it not been for the beginnings of World War II, when all American automotive production switched to war material. Cadillac was no different. They stepped up to the plate and began producing V8 engines that were used in tanks as well as their automatic transmissions. So that, after the war was over, many servicemen whose introduction to a Cadillac had been on a rampage going through Europe or in successful battles in Asia, wanted to put that same power in their own home driveway. Cadillac ownership continued to explode after the war as a result of this momentum. In 1941, that same year, Cadillac came up with a slight styling innovation. They had been inspired by the P-38 aircraft, and decided to put a little tailpiece on the back of the automobile, and it was known as a tail fin. It was a little bumpy thing at first, but as we see, it grew to astonishing proportions and captivated all of America. Cadillac's combination of innovation in both engineering and style earned it the first ever Car of the Year award in 1949. In 1950 and 51, production doubled from that of the 40s. America was enjoying the greatest prosperity of its history. In a sense, it was as if the entire nation had just won the lottery and was looking for a way to spend its money. General Motors was more than happy to accommodate the American people. People would come and fantasize about the great ideas and great designs that were coming out of Detroit. Harley Earl, by adding gobs and gobs of chrome, came out with the most unusual, innovative, and dramatic styling in the entire history of American automotive design. He said, "If the public wants fins, I'm going to give them fins." This is a 1959 Eldorado Retz convertible, only about 1,300 were made. It was several $1,000s more than a conventional Cadillac of the period, but it was definitely the car to have. You could just see the fin out of the corner of your eye. They are a pleasure, almost as good as sex, or depending on who you're talking to, maybe even better. Elvis Presley, Dean Martin, Frank Sinatra, anybody that wanted / appeal, had one. Soon came the Eldorado Biarritz. This car was the last to be styled by Harley Earl. On-board gadgets included an automatic headlamp dimmer, electrically adjustable seats, and a total of 6 lighters. It was claimed that 0 to 60 was possible in around 11 seconds with a top speed of 120 miles per hour. The 1960s came with many innovations in safety and comfort from Cadillac. Cadillac introduced seatbelts, which became standard by law a year later. The 60s also saw the addition of many other power conveniences. There wasn't a single thing a driver had to do by that period, other than point the car in the right direction, put the gear shift selector in D, and go. And in 1964, luxuries such as automatically controlled headlamps, and the first regulated heating and air conditioning system, were introduced. The 1970s marked Cadillac's innovation of computerized automobiles, and safety airbags were first used by Cadillac in 1974, before becoming the standard for all vehicles. But that came at a big price. By about 1973, and the appearance of the first U.S. oil crisis, the Cadillac was really looked upon as a dinosaur, and Cadillac reacted by producing even more lavish and more elaborate cars, resulting in a 233-inch length car weighing over 5,200 pounds with fuel consumption of about 15.2 miles to the gallon, the 1976 Fleetwood, by far the ultimate exposition of the grand sedan. The rear bumper, and all the tail lights, every red piece in the 76 Cadillac lights up. It was kind of like a show of lights, especially at night. In 1975, Cadillac was the first U.S. automaker to provide electronically injected engines, and after 1976, Cadillac changed direction and introduced its first downsized series of cars. The other problem Cadillac faced in that period was that its audience was aging. Cadillac wasn't capturing the core market of successful young people that BMW and Mercedes were so successful in launching too. General Motors needed to do something dramatic, and they needed to do it quickly, and the result was the North Star engine project. It was the creation of one of the most incredible engines in automotive history, certainly in Cadillac's history. The new North Star engines were called so because they were seen as the beacon for Cadillac's future. Like the North Star, the 1980s saw a major change in styling for all cars, including the Cadillac. The new style came with the reintroduction of the wreath on the logo for all Cadillac vehicles. Cadillacs made many improvements to car delivery and customer interaction, earning it the distinction of number 1 in customer satisfaction by J.D. Power. The 80s also came with Cadillac becoming the first manufacturer to use a microprocessor for fuel ignition and diagnostics. Cadillac still enjoyed a spotlight in pop day media. It was used in movies such as Ghostbusters, The Blues Brothers, as well as music such as Natalie Cole's Pink Cadillac. The 1990s showed a decline in sales, and in 1997, Cadillac sales dipped below Lincoln's for the first time in the history of the two brands. General Motors dedicated a team to bring the Cadillac brand back to that of the standard of the world. The logo was streamlined into a symbol closely related to today's logo. The push for new styling came in the late 90s into the early 2000s. The Escalade was introduced in the late 90s, showing Cadillac's push to diversify its brand in relation to other manufacturers. Despite the losses suffered, Cadillac still maintained the brand of luxury and comfort in the 90s. 2002 marked the 100th anniversary of Cadillac, and continued Cadillac's desire to push the boundaries of design and innovation for appealing to a young audience can be seen in The Matrix Reloaded, where the 2003 CTS is featured alongside the 2002 Escalade during a long car chase. The 2000s continued to be a bumpy time for Cadillac, with many successes but also many failures. While the future of Cadillac is uncertain, it still remains pivotal to American automotive history. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. I'm Wako, and I will see you on the next one.